In this episode, we'll explore what emotional regulation actually means and how it shows up in everyday life in ways most people recognize, even if they've never used that term before. Emotional regulation is often misunderstood as staying calm or keeping emotions under control. The interpretation can make it sound like something you either succeed or fail at. In reality, emotional regulation is not about suppressing emotion or appearing composed. It is about how emotions move through you and how you respond to them over time. Everyone regulates emotions. The question is not whether you do it, but how you do it. Some people regulate emotions quickly and internally. Others regulate through talking, movement, or interaction. Some regulate by slowing things down. Others regulate by staying active. None of these are inherently better or worse. They are different ways of managing emotional intensity. A useful way to think about emotional regulation is to imagine volume control rather than on or off switch. Emotions rise and fall naturally. Regulation is about whether the volume can be adjusted or whether it feels stuck at one level. Have you noticed times when emotions gradually settle on their own and other times when they stay loud no matter what you do? I sure have. Emotional regulation also shows up in how people respond after something happens. Two people can experience the same event and react differently, not because one cares more, but because their systems process emotions differently. One person may need to talk immediately, another may need time alone before they can reflect. When something affects you, what usually helps it pass through rather than linger? For me, myself, I prefer to talk through things immediately, or I need time alone to reflect. It's situation dependent. Many people associate emotional regulation with childhood or parenting, but it continues to develop across adult life. Work environments, relationships, stress, and health all shape how regulation functions. When life feels predictable, regulation often happens smoothly. When pressure increases, regulation can feel harder to access. Everyday examples of emotional regulation are easy to miss because they are ordinary. Taking a walk to clear your head, putting music on after a difficult day, rewatching something familiar when you feel overwhelmed. Even distraction has a regulatory function. The key difference is whether these strategies allow emotions to move or whether they are used to avoid feeling altogether. Emotional regulation also affects communication. When emotions are manageable, people tend to speak more clearly and listen more easily. When regulation is stretched, conversations can feel harder. Tone changes, patience reduces, misunderstandings escalate. Have you noticed how different conversations feel when you are already emotionally loaded? I sure have. Another common misunderstanding is that strong emotion means poor regulation. Intensity alone is not the issue. Regulation is about recovery. How long does it take for you to return to baseline after something emotionally activating happens? Do emotions move through you or do they tend to stay stuck? Regulation is also shaped by context. The same person may regulate well at work and struggle more at home, or feel settled with friends and more reactive with family. This does not mean regulation is inconsistent, it means regulation is relational and situational. Counseling and therapy often focus on emotional regulation, even when that phrase is not used. Sessions provide a space where emotions can be noticed, slowed, and understood without needing immediate action. Over time, this can influence how emotions are handled outside the session, not through instruction, but through experience. What matters here is recognizing emotional regulation as a skill that develops, not a trait you either have or lack. People often judge themselves harshly for emotional responses without realizing that regulation capacity changes with stress, fatigue, and context. When you think about moments you feel most reactive, what else is usually going on at the same time? For me, When I'm feeling hungry, yeah, my reactions aren't the best when things come up. This understanding brings the concept closer to everyday life. Emotional regulation is not about doing it right, it's about noticing what helps emotions move and what makes them get stuck. In the next episode, we'll take this even closer to home by exploring how emotional regulation shows up in daily routines and habits, including how people use work, rest, distraction, and connection to manage how they feel. That's the scope of this episode. Each episode focuses on one specific theme, and this was it. We'll leave it there for now and move on in the next episode.